Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Saturday, December 28th, 2019. In both the Lin Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls remain only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions, and all other souls from all other dimensions, as long as the souls are already living by the many search for truth rules already given to the search for truth community by wiser minds above all of us. We did have, somebody's asking, does that ever happen? And we did have a soul who was here a couple days ago who was really trying, and that soul found it extremely jarring when the world didn't cooperate.
That's right.
Very jarring. And the point that I think is trying to be made by somebody in the group of angels and godly presences responsible for planet Earth is how important it is to limit the input stream.
That's true.
To not allow input in faster than it can be processed according to the search for truth rules. And what happens when we don't slow the input stream down to a pace that can be processed is that untruth and miscommunication piles upon itself until errors are happening, and then sometimes we're 85 years old and we realize we haven't at all done what we were born to do.
That's true.
That we didn't do anything even remotely like what we were supposed to do. And sometimes we don't even notice it until the body dies, and sometimes even not then, because right now, when the upward flow for planet Earth has broken down, when death happens, when souls leave bodies, the soul kind of rolls out of the body, and the age-old teaching is to simply follow the current, and the current will take you up.
That's right.
But the currents no longer take us up. The currents now have become the grasping and aversion horizontal currents of the astral dimensions. And so as the dead roll out of their bodies and feel for the current and go with the current, they're pulled immediately into the astral dimensions, which have become quite lawless.
That's true.
What now? To reestablish upward flow on a mass scale. And somebody is pointing to how thick the astral dimensions are and the need to get a lot of those dimensions out of the way. And they're talking about how as they're knocking dimensions out of the way, that people in denser host lives, humans, are saying, I'm a channel to the fifth dimension.
That's what they're talking about.
And that dimension just toppled over, and now they're channeling kind of dark presences, actually, and how unfortunate that is, and that the skills are available. It's extremely difficult and inconvenient and uncomfortable and a big sacrifice to implement the skills, but it can be done. For whom is the message? Why do you ask?
And the point being that when those presences in the fifth dimension, quote unquote, were first started being listened to by the presences on Earth, they weren't lower vibration.
No, they weren't.
At that point. It was after the collapse of their dimension that the vibration went way downhill.
Well, or it could have been that that was what caused their dimension to topple over, but that something happened at some point in time, and the voices that were once the voices to listen to are no longer the voices to listen to. And somebody's asking about the channels and what the channels know, and the channels know how nice it is to have a working rapport with a particular soul or a group of souls, and how challenging it can be when those souls are caught in the currents or fall to the poisoning, and how we have to let them go.
It's really inconvenient.
Very inconvenient. let them go and reconnect vibrationally and based on what people are actually doing. Souls, angels, and godly presences are actually doing. Our actions show who and what we really are. If we aren't working to stop the destruction, then that's not the correct voice to be affiliated with or to work with. And so continually reaching for those who are working to, and there's lots of different ways of wording it. Working to stop the destruction is a good way to word it. It helps us. And then sometimes they say, well, what's needed to stop the destruction? And we go through a process of attempting to discern what is the crucial need of the moment, and one foundational need that comes up over and over again is the need to reestablish upward flow.
That's right.
What now to reestablish upward flow on a mass scale? How can we be of service to spirit? So the microphone is shifting, and it's one of those voices like a guardian angel. Sometimes Mother Mary talks like this, but guardian angels of humanity often talk like this, and they're saying, friends, we humans are supposed to be living lives in service to spirit. Something perverted has happened. Now, my best guess is this is Mother Mary because she really likes that word.
That's true.
There's a perversion happening in the interdimensional relationship with divinity, and humanity seems to think that God is here to serve me, quote unquote,
That's right.
or to solve my problems, or to clean up my messes. And that isn't, where did that idea even come from, she's saying. Where did that idea even come from? We are here to serve God. We are here to serve divinity, God by any name, however you relate to God. Nobody's telling anybody how to relate to God, and we are not promoting any way of connecting to the divine over any other way of connecting to the divine.
That's true.
The point is that there are higher powers, there are powers over us, and holding karma in abeyance has been creating some confusions apparently with humanity. Somebody's saying the microphone has switched again.
Yeah.
Confusions to the point that now there's a common discourse, I like that word discourse out there, that says that there is no God.
That's right.
And ignoring higher powers does not make them go away. It does not stop the process of karma playing out. Our teacher used to say, if we could only get people to focus long term, they would do the right thing out of their own selfish best interests. And he was referring to karma.
That's right.
And reincarnation. And in our healing practices, we definitely see that playing out.
The wheel of karma.
The wheel of karma definitely turns. What goes around comes around. And sometimes it's comforting to see that.
That's true.
The microphone has shifted again, and somebody is talking about how much they actually recommend the lifestyle of a healer in this healing art, because you get to see the hand of God playing out
over and over
again. We have a front row seat for a show of divine miracles, and there's nothing like having a front row seat for a show of divine miracles to build trust in the divine.
That is true.
And we also have a front row seat for the cycles of karma. We get to see it playing out over and over and over again.
That's right.
The troubles of our clients' lives almost always have come from their poor choices in previous lives.
That's right.
Almost always. And imagine somebody's microphone shifted again.
Yep.
Imagine how it is when you think there's no consequence for your actions. And then you think you can just do whatever you want to do, and then obviously the next million lives or so are going to be very unpleasant, so that it will feel like an eternity of suffering.
That's right.
For him is the message. Why do you ask? Friends, now the microphone has shifted again.
Yes, it has.
Friends, and talking upstairs, it's really time to kick it into gear on implementing instant karma, and there's immediately argument that instant karma is being implemented.
That's what they're saying.
It's very possible it is being implemented in the intervening dimensions. We're not saying it isn't, but it isn't making it down here to ground zero. So we have again this problem of the astral dimensions cushioning, making it impossible for divinity and density to come into contact. And divinity is saying, I am imposing instant karma, and that's the wrong word. I didn't get it right. I am maybe implementing, that could be the correct
That
word.
could be the word.
I am implementing instant karma, and it's very possible that that is occurring, but it isn't making it down here to ground zero.
That's true.
So we think that these intervening astral dimensions are an enormous problem. The clouds of the dead
That's
are
right.
an enormous problem. And somebody's saying, this is just basic repetitive conversations. This is what has been said over and over and over and over and over and over, and in a way it's soothing.
That's true.
And
It's a consistent series of messages.
It is a consistent series of messages. What now? To reestablish upward flow on a mass scale. How may we be of service to thin the astral dimensions? How may we be of service to allow divinity and density to come into closer contact with each other? How may we be of service to help implement instant karma for the bad tail of the bell curve of karma, exactly as has been occurring for the good tail of the bell curve of karma, and in such a way balance the bell curve of karma, obviously, and also provide guidance to the masses so that people can see, oh dear, there is a God, and maybe I will think twice before I also do bad things.
Right.
How can we help? How can we help to reestablish upward flow on a mass scale? Like our little upward flow for this little tiny farm is not helpful for the world at large. It does help us. It does. Somebody's asking, does it help you? Absolutely, it does. It feels much calmer, much more peaceful.
Yeah, that's true.
Why do you ask? Oh, and they're saying, this is such wishful thinking. Some soul feels just completely revolted. And another soul is saying, maybe you can get everybody to do it for yourself. And somebody's whipping around and saying, listen. Might be Pan. He's saying, we were teaching this. And he's referring to the era of the classes.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It is true that in the era of the classes, the upward flow had not yet fully broken down. It was having problems. We could feel it going on and off, on and off.
Yeah, that's right.
And we didn't know what to make of that at the time. But we were simply trying to get the students to open up, to allow the upward flow to blow through them, and they were resistant. They didn't want to do it. They had oppositional defiant disorder.
Yeah, that's right.
Because the upward flow would blow up through them, and these were the best people on the planet. So don't think we're being disrespectful about the students who came through our program. We think they were the best of the best.
Oh yeah.
And even so, they didn't like the upward flow moving through them, because then their intuitive channels, the sensing mechanisms through which our intuition comes, their intuitive channels would blow up, and they could hear their guardian angels who were saying, stop the destruction, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Which is what everybody's guardian angels are saying to them in this era, because humanity is destroying all life on Earth.
That's right.
Which is problematic.
Oh yeah.
And that's what all the angels and godly presences are saying to humanity is, stop it, wake up, change. And students would get afraid when they would hear those messages, because society says something so entirely different. And
That's right.
They didn't want to have to choose between divinity and society, so they were choosing society's pretense of divinity.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is just some fantasy story that is just going to be there to clean up your messes, that's just crazy. And surely we can all hear that's a con job, right?
That's
We
right.
can all hear that. Somebody's scamming you if they're saying that.
That's right.
And God is not a scam. Please may we be of service to thin the astrals. How may we be of service to thin the astrals, to reestablish upward flow on a mass scale, and to make a peace so that the instant karma that is apparently being implemented can percolate all the way down to this dimension? How can we be of service? I think this is the point. the instant karma that apparently is being implemented isn't making it through.
Yeah.
And we, the team who works out of here, we know how it is in interdimensional work and how difficult it can be to tell what's going on through the dimensional veils. And so we think it is of service to say, right direction, keep going, thank you for working to implement instant karma. It isn't yet percolating down through the astral dimensions to get all the way down here. It isn't. And that is a good service, just having that barometer, like the needle, look at the barometer. It's not lifting off of zero, it's just there. There's
that's right.
Nothing, it hasn't even blipped, not the first blip, nothing,
no, that's
zero,
right.
nothing. It's not making it down here yet.